I started work at 5 a.m. this morning in Chicago and did 8 hours. Got home, threw my bags in the car, gathered my stuff, and drove another 10 hours down here. And just got out here a few minutes ago, found a spot. Actually in a campground here. There's one other person here, so that's good. There's not very many people here. It's actually the last weekend of a long rifle season here. So that's the reason. One of the reasons I came out here was because the rifle season is still open. You know, it's late, being Thanksgiving Day weekend, and I get to 4 days off over Thanksgiving, so I usually try to go hunting somewhere, and I try to go somewhere new every year just for just for the experience of going somewhere new and the adventure of it and stuff like that. So I came out here in Arkansas this year. They got some pretty good public ground, wilderness areas. I always like going to wilderness areas because I feel like I can outwalk people in wilderness areas, and rather than go to a normal national forest where everybody goes in with ATVs and stuff, and the whole thing is worked over, especially by now, the end of the season. So I'm hoping to walk far enough where not very many people have been, and see if there's some deer hiding in some hidey holes still. Pretty much the way I came up with the location I'm at is I just looked at Google Maps and found basically the biggest roadless area I could find to where I can get in the deepest, which isn't saying much over here in the Midwest. I think it's 4.5 miles between roads or something, but it's enough to where not very many people have been in there. So I'm planning on backpacking, probably just camping in the middle of it. For me, I'm out here by myself. I'm not gonna set up any base camp or anything. I'm gonna crash here. It's it's late. I'm gonna get up at dawn tomorrow, and I'm gonna sleep in my car. And I'm gonna get up. I got my bag packed. I'm gonna throw it on, my camp and everything in my backpack, and just hunt with my camp on my back tomorrow. And then throughout the day, I'm gonna find another destination to camp and set up there. And hopefully it's a good spot. I could stay for the whole weekend. I'm here for 4 days. If it's not good, I'll move, or if I'm not being productive. But I'll find a place near water. It seems like there's plenty of water around here. It's a dark night. It's like a new moon, so it's really dark. So I couldn't see much driving in since it's nighttime. But it seems like there's plenty of water. Seems like it's hilly. Windy road. I've been cruising down this windy road for a couple hours now. Finally just found a national forest campground pull-off, and give it a shot. And I don't know what to expect. Never been here. Only seen one deer driving at night, so it's not a good sign. I know if I was up in Wisconsin, I would have seen 50 deer driving that long on these tight, windy roads. But I don't know. I think I gotta check out the regulations again. When I bought my permit, I think it was like permit for 3 deer, 3 turkeys, and I think you shoot hogs and stuff. So, but not black bear. I would have had to pay some more money to get a black bear permit, which was tempting, but it was too much money. So, I'm pretty much out for any kind of meat I can get. So, only being in here for 4 days, my pack is pretty light with food and stuff like that. So, I don't know what to expect as far as the terrain, as far as critters on the ground, insects, snakes. The weather's supposed to be pretty bad, like 40 degrees and raining tomorrow. Maybe rising up in temperature by the end of my stay. But just to be prepared for anything, I brought the super tarp with stove and annex. Then I also brought a bivvy, so in case it's nasty, in case the ground's nasty, wet, maybe snakes, bugs, and stuff like that. I'll I'll sleep in that bivvy, especially if it's raining. You know, if it's raining, I'll put the super tarp up high and then sleep in the bivvy underneath it if it's warmer and raining. That way, you know, I have a place to stand underneath, stand upright, you know, and be out of the rain, and then sleep in that bivvy. But if I get wet and I gotta dry myself out, or if it's, you know, cold or something, I could set up that super tarp or the annex down low, pin it to the ground, and run the stove in there. You know, it's a little extra weight, but even with that and everything, I'm at 42 pounds, so I'm not worried about it. That's pretty lightweight, so I figured I'd bring it along for a couple extra options, you know. And you know, I only got food for 4 days, so it's good, no big deal. Hiking on what's sort of a trail here, follows the edge of this creek. Everything's flooded here, so the creek's kind of raging, but it's a cool area. I mean, it's really pretty. Nasty weather, 34 and raining. Can't get much worse. Well, the rain kind of died down a little bit now, but it's pretty steady earlier. Pretty tough terrain to walk in. All these boulder fields and stuff, you know. Even on a trail here, I kind of having trouble even following the trail. It's so light. But I'm gonna go in, I don't know, a couple miles and find a nice place to set up. Okay, I got camp thrown up for the night. I'm probably 2.5 miles. I didn't check GPS yet. And far enough for the night. Getting kind of late, so I just I threw the super tarp up high. I strung it up high, so I can kind of stand up underneath there and move around, spread my gear out, and set the bivvy up so I could sleep inside the shelter at bivvy. But you know, I got a long night here. It's gonna get dark at 5 o'clock or something, so got a long time to fuck around at night. And I feel like being trapped in the when it's strung to the ground, it's small inside there, and I gotta be bent over for everything. So just kind of stand up and stretch out. So I'll see how it goes. It's gonna be kind of cold tonight, and I think I managed to keep everything dry so far. So it's not like I gotta run the hot tent and dry it out or anything like that. So should be okay. Bivvy's pretty warm inside too. It kind of traps some heat in there. So we'll see how it goes. I don't think I'll stay here more than 1 day. This is kind of like a bit of an established camp on a hiking trail. I didn't see anything great to keep me around here. I'm gonna go do a little hunting now before it gets dark. But I've seen a little bit of sign, but usually, you know, it's kind of like typical old growth hardwoods. There's not a whole lot of, there's not a huge deer population here. I like to try and find some transition, you know, some pines or undergrowth or something like that I can hunt the edge of, you know, to be a best bet for whitetail. I don't really like living in just vast open woods, from my experience anyways. Okay, I broke camp this morning. It's the second day here, Friday. I got up, broke camp in the dark, and hit the trail at first light. And I'm just, again, hunting with my camp on my back. I'm just gonna hunt the trail today, see where it takes me. I got off trail a little bit last night, you know, right before dark when I went out for the night hunt. And it's pretty brutal off trail. It's hard to move around silently, you know. It's all huge boulders, and they make noise when you step on them, and deadfalls and stuff like that. So, you know, better off hunting on a trail. I'm far enough in so where these deer don't see much pressure. This trail is like a destination trail to a waterfall, so most people using this trail are hikers, and there's not very many people using this trail anyways. I can tell by it's hard to even follow at times. You know, it's not a very well beaten path, so not a bad option to hunt right off of this. And I got cliffed out on that trail. It was down, halfway down that cliff. It was like a narrow trail, and it just got to the point where there was no trail, and I was cliffed in, and I had to go up, climb up here in a really dangerous situation. It was slick, way too vertical. I'm grabbing on trees and stuff, and if I would have slipped, I would have fallen to my death for sure. So now I'm up here on this shelf trying to follow it, and it's just these boulder fields, man. It's horrendous walking. You can't see what's underneath there because of the leaves. And then you see that hole there? Well, I found some water in this little drainage up high in the mountain. I moved up high, and I never went down to get water first because it wasn't easy to get down to the creek down there. I was still about 100 feet above. So I decided I would just run across it eventually, since it's been raining out here, and came across this water. It's not the best, but it doesn't taste as bad as it looks. Well, I'm pretty well fogged in here. The visibility about 50 yards or so. So not the best thing for hunting, but that's what I'm out here to do, so I just stay at it. Today it's still Friday, so first like full day of good hunting. And at times it cleared up a bit and the fog lifted, and I was feeling pretty hopeful for a while. You know, I was in some pretty good habitat, and you know, taking my time. I found a trail that I can walk on pretty quiet. There was just glass in the head, going slow, and thought I'd maybe have a shot at something, but nothing. I haven't seen anything yet today, and now it's getting in the afternoon. I'm up here. I'm gonna camp up high tonight, so I climbed up on top of this mountain here, and I'm looking for a place with flat ground and clean ground without a bunch of twigs coming up and thorns and stuff to set my tent set up out, or my tarp and bivvy. I'm going to go with the tarp high and bivvy again. I like that setup. And I will break camp again tomorrow morning in the dark and just hunt with the camp in my back. I like that situation too. It's really it's a cool thing because it's, you know, there's no pressure to find your way back to camp, or there's no schedule or anything. You got everything you need on your back at all times. So I can just kind of wander around and follow the terrain I want to hunt, and I don't care what direction I'm going. You know, I got my GPS on, so it's kind of a carefree way of hunting. I like it. It's pretty cool. Then just, you know, just got to find water, which ain't too big a problem here. It's raining right now, so there's a lot of water around, and flat ground. That's it. So, you know, start looking for that early enough, and then get set up, go out without a heavy pack for the evening hunt. I could probably just sit somewhere around here where I'm overlooking a shelf until it gets dark, and, you know, hope for the best. Okay, wow, I'm glad I found this one quick. Got a nice little 6-pointer here. Man, he was cruising, just walking along through the trees, and I could just barely make him out in the scope through the fog and stuff. And I thought I had him good in there. I shot. He ran pretty good. I could tell it was like a front leg shot, so I was nervous about it. I couldn't find any blood because it's raining out here, and just everything looks like blood anyways. And so I started tracking him from the disturbance in the leaves and stuff, and where he ran, and found him here. It's getting dark fast too, so I'm happy to have him, man. I'm happy I found him. All right, I better get to work here. I'm sitting out here underneath the super tarp. I got it strung up high, like high enough where I could stand underneath the highest point, and got my bivvy next to me here, where I'll go in when I go to bed. Storm's coming in right now, and raining pretty good. Wind's picking up, and this is a good setup. I experimented with this in my backyard a little bit, you know, with some really bad storms like snowstorms and sideways rain at 35 degrees, which is what I might experience here in a few minutes. And this setup works really good. I like it a lot. I like it better than a tent, you know, because you get the area to like spread out like you have a big, huge tent, but you know, you only have, I don't know what I have, maybe 3 pounds total, 4 pounds tops of like tent, stakes, and tarp and everything. But you get a lot of benefits of having a big, you know, 10-pound tarp, 10-pound tent. Like the surface area of things you can spread out, stand up underneath it. You can get dressed, you know, and then you have the bivvy to go in at night, so you're protected 100%. You don't have to like worry about snakes getting in there, bugs or anything. And then the bivvy actually holds a lot of heat in too. It's really warm. It adds to the temperature rating of your sleeping bag. Here's my rain suit and other stuff that I had on today that got wet. I put it up next to the poles that hold up the super tarp to get air exposed to it and dry it out throughout the night. When I'm going without a stove, there's really, and the moisture in the air is ridiculous right now, you know, so it's raining outside and stuff. Really no way to dry things out but to you know, give as much air exposure as possible. It's getting kind of crazy around here tonight. Here comes that 35 degrees sideways rain I was talking about earlier. Gotta have the right gear, gotta be prepared, and you gotta have experience. So you know it's all gonna be okay. I packed this meat out to the road, and I'm just following a east heading on my compass that's pinned to my binocular harness. And I kind of looked on the map to see what it looked like, and I don't remember seeing this between me and the road. Oh, not so bad. I think I can get over it. Wow. This is some crazy terrain around here, man. Some of the most dangerous terrain I've ever dealt with. Now I'm packing the meat out to the road. The temperature got quite a bit warmer today. It was a horrendous thunderstorm this morning, so I didn't bother going out hunting. You couldn't see nothing. You still only see about, I don't even think, 50 yards. And this morning was much worse. What I'm doing here is I found a road on the satellite map that's much closer than my car. So I'm trying to follow an east heading. Fucker. I'm trying to follow an east heading. Just go straight to the road, dump off the meat, then come back, get my camp, probably go the same way out to the road, and then I think I'll jog the road back to my car. Gotta be, I don't know, it's less than 10 miles, I'm sure. I think that's the fastest way to get out of here. I want to take care of this meat because it's just soaking wet, it's not drying out, and now it's warm, so gotta get it in a cooler. But this terrain is fucking horrendous, man. Like, following east heading is easier said than done. Kind of gotta take the path least resistance and keep running into these fucking cliffs and stuff, so it's pretty difficult. At least it's not raining currently. It's been on and off, raining hard. Now I'll check back in. Packing my camp out now. I'm gonna go back to the same road that I dumped the meat off at. So I was only like 2 miles from the nearest road. That was probably 5 or 6 miles from my car. So it's just, if I was on a trail or something, I'd probably just pack back to my car. But this is off trail, and this terrain is really bad, really hard to navigate. So that 6 miles is a long 6 miles. So I'm gonna take the 2 miles out. I'm gonna hide my stuff somewhere, stash my gun in my pack and everything, and then jog back down the road. I'll jog down the road in my car, get my car and drive back for it. I'll mark where it's at with the inReach, and then I gotta remember to bring the inReach with me when I jog back. I'll stick it in my pocket, and then I'll be able to find my stuff. At inReach, this is the first season I've hunted with inReach, and it's a game changer, man. It's nice to be able to not have to worry about stuff like that, you know. This out here, everything kind of looks the same. The woods are really thick, like you're, you know, always going through brush and stuff. You can't see far, not to mention how it's fogged in most of the time out here. So like, I would have to, you know, be a lot more careful if I didn't have the inReach to always know where I'm at. I've done it my whole life without it, so I'm not saying I couldn't do it without it, but it allows you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, like staying there and butchering that deer out last night in the dark and getting fogged in. I probably wouldn't have done that if I didn't have the inReach. I probably would have tried to get that thing up off the ground, or just got it and left it there, and then came back, butchered it in daylight, you know, try to get back to my camp before visibility got to as bad as it was there. Yeah, let's see what else I want to touch on. Now this trip in general is pretty cool. It's a cool spot, but a tough one. I mean, especially with the weather being about as bad as weather can be. You know, the sun's out now for the first time since I've been in Arkansas, but the rest of the time it was just raining, fogged, and right around freezing. I mean, it's going like flurries at times, you know, but we're at around 33 to 35 degrees and raining. Just sucks, man. That's about the worst kind of conditions you could have. So that was tough. And then, like I said, the terrain was tough. Walking up here is just, everything's a challenge. You know, even what I'm walking through right now is an easier part, but just always going through brush, thorns, and then you get in these boulder fields that are really dangerous. My legs are killing me now. I mean, they're sore from the you know, from the trip so far, from hiking I did the last few days. And I usually don't feel like this. I mean, usually I keep myself in really good shape. I do get sore at times, but my feet and my legs are a little more sore than they should be, considering I haven't covered that much ground. I've been going slow because I've been hunting, so it's not like I'm hiking, you know. It's just, I don't know. You know, you watch, if you're at home watching this, and it might sound like fun and, you know, a little bit of adventure, that's what I like about it. But you gotta keep in mind, there is a misery factor. And look at this now. I'm on like an old service road. This is beautiful. I think I'm getting close to the regular road that I'm heading to. But yeah, don't forget about the misery factor. You know, you have to go into it knowing that that's gonna be part of it. So otherwise you'll be disappointed. You'll just hate the whole experience. You know, if you know that there's gonna be some misery to it, and then you know, I live my life abusing myself to be ready for stuff like this all the time. You know, people think I'm crazy with the kind of workouts I do, and sleeping outside in the cold, you know, in my backyard. If I got a really cold day, or one of these days where it's like it was here, where it's 35 and raining, you know, I'll camp out in my yard, you know, to test my gear and test myself, make sure I'm ready for it. So that's the kind of, you have to be, you know, people sometimes ask me like, well, what do you have to be in such good shape to go hunting for? Well, I'm not doing your normal hunting. You know, this kind of hunting, backpack style hunting, is you do have to be in really good shape. And if you're not, you can still do it, but you're gonna be miserable. So if you're conditioned for it, it's gonna make the misery not as bad, you know. And then like what I'm doing right now, to go hit this road and jog to my car and save time. You know, I have that option because I routinely run 10 miles, so I know I can do it. Otherwise, I'd be in for a long day. So I'm at the road, and time for my run. Okay, I just got to the campground now, so about at my car. It wasn't too bad. It's probably 4 or 5 miles. I didn't check the time, but maybe 45-minute run or something like that. Got my boots on, all my hunting gear.
You know, it's a pretty good test for your gear. If you can run 5 miles with a gear on, it's probably good fitting gear. You're not going to do that in no rubber boots or Cabela's bullshit that's marketed to whitetail hunters. It's a bunch of garbage.